Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Be Real podcast. It's me Yadu, and today we have Javier. And as you can judge from our faces, we are fresh off the 4-0 victory against Elche, which went pretty much according to plan. We'll get into the details in a minute. We'll get into the game, how it went. We'll analyze the performance of our players. We'll give you a short update on the injury situations we have in the team. And we'll look forward to our next game against Osasuna. And all of that coming right up. But before we get into the depth of everything, Javier, how are you doing? What's good? What's new? And thoughts overall?
I mean, what's good? Can you see this is a huge day for us today? We won 4-0 against Elche, but we also won 1-0 against Chelsea, so double celebration.
For the people listening on the in the audio, Javier is sporting a Bayern top. Why am I saying Bayern? Dortmund top, and it was a Champions League match against Chelsea, and Karim Adeyemi, the star boy, has scored for Dortmund, and yeah, good news all around. As Karim
Yeah,
Adeyemi fans, we're buzzing, but then again, we did just win four
it
zero,
was
so that's the
a
bigger
late
news.
Valentine's, a late Valentine's gift for both of us. You know.
Yeah, good day of football all around. Good day of football. But yeah, going into the match today against an Elche side that has 9 points in 21 games, with one win and six draws and all the other losses. What did you expect, Javier? Did you actually expect them to give us a fair challenge?
Uh, I mean, yes, but just because they only win was recent. I
Mhm.
mean, they beat Villarreal, so they changed manager like all relegation teams often do.
Mhm.
But I mean, this team seems so off of La Liga. You know, this team is a proper. um, second division team.
It is, yeah.
So they don't have the means, the resources, the staff, anything to compete. You know, sometimes teams like we saw last week against Mallorca. If they cannot compete in the pitch, they often tend to do other things. But this Elche seems not. They have nothing to do in this. Sorry, I basically there's nothing. They don't have nothing to do in La Liga in the first division. You know
Mm.
there are stronger teams in second division.
This is
They like
it's a relegation bound team. It's just what we're saying.
yeah.
Elche looks like they'll do better in the second division rather than playing in the first division. Um, there are stronger teams there, but then again, Elche had that new manager bounce when they faced Villarreal. It didn't seem to hold up. Their luck didn't seem to hold up against us today. It was a, let's just put it this way, it was a comfortable outing for the boys. At least the ones on the pitch seemed like they had fun. Whenever the camera cut to Vinny Jr., who was suspended for today's game, he looked kind of sad that he was missing out on the fun. I think the one event that actually marked it, and I said this in the chat, was that towards the end of the game, when Militao actually attempted a Rabona that went out of bounds, it would have been a beautiful cross otherwise. But that moment kind of summed up how our players were looking at the match around the 80th minute. We did see some switch offs. We did see Elche suddenly get a couple of attacking opportunities, but it's to be expected. Until that point, we didn't have a proper challenge, and I think that moment marked how the game was, at least for me. Any other thoughts before we proceed, Javier? Is there some takeaway from the match that you want to point out?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically Real Madrid prepared these games basically the same as the Club World Cup final.
Mm.
You know,
Hmm.
in the same is the same kind of team, but the competition was different. I mean, they can relax and they like I'm gonna score five, you can score three. But here, they knew that La Liga is a must. We're basically we started this game 11 points behind
We are
Barcelona. So
chasing
even
Barca.
that even that the team we're facing was a very weak team,
Mhm.
the mentality needs to be laser focused because it's La Liga. So the same level of teams against,
Mhm.
but the mentality was different. You know, like this is no joke.
Mhm.
Like they probably uh, uh, looked the final World Cup.
That's actually true. Did you see a more higher level of performance today or in the World Cup final, Club World Cup final? The game did end 5-3, but then until the last, let's say, 10 minutes in the Club World Cup final, was it a better performance than today, or is it something that you can't actually compare?
I mean, the performance today was better,
Hmm. Hmm.
but just in the defense regard, you know, the attacking was the same. The mobility, the like we discussed prior to the start of the show, they all move out. You know, today we can change Vini for Rodrigo,
Hmm.
and they all move in the attacking positions. But the difference today, and I don't think it's because today starts Militao and Nacho. I think the difference was that today
Hmm.
they 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 see the threat that is every La Liga team in the regard of the defense. You know,
Hmm.
we we're basically 11, well, 8 points behind Barcelona now because of our defense.
Hmm.
Because I don't think we scored more goals than last season or less goals than last season. The main difference and the key differences between us now and this current Barcelona, and that they can win 1-0. Like
Yeah.
we used to do.
They can
Uh,
hold it out like we did in Zidane's last season. We just score 1-0
yeah,
and we just hold it until the end of the game, just clenching. until everything's over. Which then again, Barca seems to be this win churning machine, as Sunaid said last time. I think having that defensive partnership this time around, or anytime it's there, it makes a lot of difference, a lot of sense to have a consistent CB partnership. Uh, was it was it I don't know, was it unexpected having Nacho pull out the performance that he did? He's looked stable every time he's come on, but today he was a little bit that bit more daring to go into attack. It is against a considerably weaker Elche side, that's true. But did the defense being that high up the pitch, was that a surprise, or do you think that was also part of the plan?
It was part of the plan. I probably say this the most of our overall panel. I still think Alaba needs to play in the left back.
Mm.
I truly believe so. And this game was the reason. Because if Alaba moves to the attacking,
Mhm.
he has Nacho to back it up because he knows Nacho don't attack that much as a center back. He sometimes attack as a right wing or left, but as a center
Mhm.
back he didn't. So today Alaba has everything to go
Yeah.
and knew that Nacho will be covered. So that
Mm.
partnership Militao and Nacho is very strong because of that. Because Carvajal can do both, attack and defend. But even if he's not, he knows that Militao got him covered. In the same regard, Alaba, who attacks better than Mendy and
Mhm.
defends immensely better than Eduardo, has this mentality. He played this position like, I don't know, 3 seasons, 4 seasons at Bayern. He
He
knows
did,
how to
yeah.
play the position
Exactly.
better
He's
than
also a naturally more attacking player, having played in multiple positions, even midfield. I think he still consistently plays midfield for Austria, but he's more of a natural attacker. He's been that for Bayern, and then he came to us as a established centre back. And his partnership with Militao is actually amazing as a centre back pairing. It's still Alaba Militao just ranks higher than everything else. But in the absence of Mendy, in the absence of a dedicated left back for us, and I have to agree that Alaba is a better established, practiced, experienced left back than Eduardo can be. Kamavinga can maybe grow into it, but then it's tempting fate at that point when it comes to the bigger games to restrict Kamavinga to a left back role, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, and we need to remember this is not like FIFA, the video game. You know, the ones that if you or even I would say like mid-season, the best
Hmm.
player possibly or top three will be Ceballos. All of us will laugh
Big
about it.
shout, yeah.
But if yeah, yeah, but if you said like it's not a joke or an overestimate to say like this, the current best midfield in this
Hmm.
team is Ceballos at this moment. Like if you ask me at the start of the season who the partnership should be, I would say 100% Alaba and Militao. But if you ask me now, today, and against Liverpool, I will say give me Nacho and give me Militao
Mm.
because
Okay.
at this moment, this is my best chance to keep a clean sheet or help.
Hmm.
Like as a block. If you ask me I will put the same four as today for the game against Liverpool. No questions asked.
Mm. That's actually a really good take, given the injury situation update on Mendy. Javier, you said just before we started that you think Mendy's out for a longer time than we expected. Was it 4 weeks or was it more?
Yeah, the last report I saw is like there is no specific
Hmm.
back to training
Okay.
um, date, but they expect to him to be joining in the next weeks the training, you
Hmm.
know. But the training versus whenever we can see him. I mean, probably 1 month at
Match fit
least.
is a completely different question, I guess. Yeah, a month seems to be what's expected of a recovery time for Mendy at this point, and in that juncture, I guess we take Alaba left back against Liverpool.
Yeah, fewer, like less attacking sides, we can put Eduardo, or even
Mm.
change Nacho and put like a partnership between Rudiger and Militao, or even put Odriozola. I don't care. Against Elche, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Against Liverpool, against Barca,
Mhm.
against Atletico, it needs to be Alaba for me at this moment. Eduardo, if we're losing, Eduardo is a better option. But if we
Mm.
trying to keep a clean sheet and then score, I will say Alaba is a better option at this moment, at least.
That makes sense. At least to soak up some of the pressure that teams like Liverpool, teams like Barcelona will throw at us in the first 20, 30 minutes. It would make sense to have David Alaba and maybe Ceballos, or even on the left side, I would say Camavinga probably. Just as a defensive cover for everything coming from the right side, be it Mo Salah, be it whoever
Yeah,
they
that.
put.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a big task, big undertaking, let's say. But having said that, let's actually get into what we thought about the players. Let's just rate the players, starting with our keeper of choice, Andre Lunin today. Because as you remember from last time, Thibaut Courtois injured and looking relaxed in the stands today. What did you make of Andre Lunin's performance? Did he have a lot to do? Is the first question, I guess, coming into the.
I think he didn't touch the ball as a
maybe
result of
until
a,
maybe until the last
as a
15
result of a.
minutes.
I don't think they have a shot on goal.
I think they had like two at the end of the game.
Yeah, but
Overall, they
I was
had two.
mainly focused on the end of the Borussia game. But
Yeah,
okay, that being said, for me, I cannot put him at 10 because he didn't have to make any.
he didn't have to do
Better
much.
or
Yeah.
yeah, I would say 9.9 because he has nothing to do.
Yeah, he made from the stats. We can just say that he made three. He had three shots, two block. One of them was a genuine threat that came on at around the 87th minute or something towards the end of the game when
Yeah,
we had more or
Chouameni
less,
block.
yeah, when we have more or less switched off. But Andre Lunin, maybe a 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, anything from a 7 to 10, because let's face it, the back
Yeah,
line held it against a team such as Elche. But then
yeah,
again, just revisiting the David Alaba conversation, pretty solid. Very impressed. Again, a position he has played in, that he likes to play in. What do you think of David Alaba today? And for people in the chat, you can people watching us, you can also join along in all of the discussions. As always, just put a word in the chat. Let us know what you think. Let us know if we are chatting absolute waffle or if we actually have debatable points. Yes, Javier, about David Alaba.
okay, so Alaba is probably the best defense today, but not for the defensive part. He provides so much on the attack.
Mhm.
Like I said, I can only imagine the triangle of Bermuda that we can make between Alaba, Eduardo, and Bini.
Mhm. More like a
So
straight line
that
on the
yeah, yeah,
left.
that left flank
Yeah.
look impressive. If you
Mhm.
if you need to put like the best left side that you
Mhm.
can imagine, that will be probably it. That being said, uh, he recently came out of the injury. This is
Mhm.
the first time I think he plays 90 minutes in a very long time. So that being said, for me, it's 9.5 at least.
I can't actually disagree because he was actually far ahead the pitch whenever he needed to be. In terms of defensive cover, maybe not that much, but then not that much was asked of him to provide defensive cover on the flank. The attacks that we saw came through the middle, and talking about attacks through the middle and the people who stopped them, Nacho Fernandez uh, just deserves a shout out as always. Whenever he comes into play, he looks solid, looks really, really solid. And you just said that it's he's half of the centre back pairing that dreams are made of. So Javier, Nacho Fernandez today, thoughts, and
Natural.
do you feel like we can continue playing him like pretty much whenever we want to?
I still don't understand what people often said, like, oh, Nacho, um, it's a good fixture, or it's a very good substitution, a backup player. I think Nacho is very, very, but it has been his whole career underrated. You know, he's a center back, and whatever you ask a center back to do is defend. You have another 8 or 9 positions to attack, but you can. An attacking defense is good, but a solid defense is necessary.
Mhm.
So for me, Nacho has always been like that. He can make mistakes, yeah, but he can make mistakes trying to defend, not trying to attack. Like we said, like sometimes we saw Militao or Rudiger making some errors in attempt to attack. Be the one that carries the ball or try to make an impressive tackle. Like this acrobatic tackle. Nacho doesn't do that at all, but he defends better than most of our defenses. I think he is the best defense, but he
Mm.
only defend, you know. But for me, it's okay. I only need if you have Militao that can attack, you have Nacho that can defend. In the same regard, that's why I deem so much of Nacho. That's why he's so important because when he plays with Thibaut or today with Lunin, they're the only two players that their main focus is to defend.
Mm.
Everyone else wants to attack and score goals, but
I
the
get that,
goalkeeper.
yeah. There's an argument to be made for it, but there's also an argument to be made against it. And the argument to be made against it is that even with Nacho's continued presence in the team, we keep going for centre backs. Uh, we actively seeked out Alaba, we actively seeked out Rudiger, and we wanted to make that with Militao a really, really solid centre back partnership, let's say more or less, having a backup and considering Nacho, I think maybe it's a question of his fitness over time. The same trend that we saw with Carvajal, who still doesn't have a replacement. But I think maybe the coaching staff depend or at least trust Carvajal more than Nacho, even given the fitness problems that both of them seem to carry throughout the seasons.
For me, it's easier to explain in this regard. Maybe you can agree with me. Um, Nacho is so consistent that
Mhm.
it's boring, and we tend to look for exciting players. I mean, even we don't turn on the TV to watch Nacho.
That's true. Yeah,
We need
that's
him
actually
when
fair.
he.
Yeah.
But as a fans, we expect a show and spectacle. Teams love to be consistent, but for the show is boring. A player that always do good is boring. You need someone to give you a 10 and then a 5 and then a 11 and then a 0 to be engaged. Nacho is not like that. Nacho is so consistent that it's boring. That's the only reason that I will say that we tend to look for, the Nacho, the Ramos, the Pepes, the Militaos.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
we get bored. Nacho is the same like Varane. Like they're good.
There's a
They're so
solid
good that
consistency, but there's nothing to remark. Is that the thing? because there's
Yeah,
I get it. I actually do get it. Um, that's yeah. I don't even have an answer for that because that makes a lot of sense. He is hoping that Nacho remains in the team in the fixture whenever he's available. Then
he will be
again,
the last one club man since Sanchez, I would say.
it does look like it.
So
Yeah.
well over 20 years, I think. Sanchez was like from the late 80s until early 2000s.
Mm, mm.
So, and it's the same position. So maybe Nacho can, finish his career here.
The spiritual successor to a lot of our great players. And we have Sunaid in the chat saying, Javier, you're officially fined 25% of your wages for sporting at Dortmund top. So he also says
Yeah, I
that.
saw it.
Well, then again, if we want to get paid, we need subscribers. So subscribe. That's the customary plug. Anyway, Sunil also says no Nacho slander. You guys need to tighten up. To which I say it's not slander per se. I just want to see him be more consistent, be more fit, be more in the team, and then I'll stop. I promise that's all it takes. And especially at this point, I'll take a fit player over anything else. Given our fixtures coming up, even if it's a proper rotation option, I'll take it. Having said that, having talked about rotational options, we'll quickly switch over to somebody who I am absolutely glad to see back in the team. Absolutely glad that we don't have to switch up, we don't have to rotate players in this position. Eder Militao, the Brazilian magic came alive from the defense all the way to the attack from Militao. Good stuff being shown. Did get dribbled past a couple of times, but then more solid than Nacho, I would say, for me. Thoughts, Javier?
Yeah, once again, I like the past 5 minutes I was praising Nacho, but Militao is better in every regard. You know, the peaks of Militao, they're impressive.
Mm.
This Militao uh, is made up arrogant. Like if this guy play for, like Liverpool or some other team, that they will say like, "Oh, this is the best center back in the world." Well, the reason, but he plays for us, and he's an okay
It
different to the
takes
media.
it's so weird because we've been saying for years and years and years that Casemiro is the best CDM in the world, and it took him to go to Man United and then drop a 8 out of 10 performance, which was his average with us, for them to agree with us finally, which is very very weird. Then again, the media is always biased against us. It is what it is. That's the way things are. Um, I think it will take the UCL campaign to come around to prove, to remind them once again why Militao was one of the best in the world in this position
If
at this
not the
age,
best,
if not the best. Yeah,
if not,
yeah.
for me at this moment, I don't see anyone. It's not an arrogant saying like I truly don't see anyone better than Militao in the same in the regard of age,
Hmm.
position, awareness, defense, attacking position. Like even as a potential commander of the defense. Like this guy that protect Vini, and so he's a very round out player for us. You know,
He's
for
also
me, it's
very yeah. He's also a presence whenever there's a fight. We've been missing a player like Pepe. We've been missing a player like
yeah,
Ramos who gets right into the thick of stuff. And we kind of see that in Militao, hoping for him to lead us to a lot of titles, hoping for him to tighten up the defense, which has been a bit of a concern due to a lot of different reasons, for sure. But yeah, I actually do agree. I mean, especially today, there's not much to point out. There's not much that actually went wrong, apart from maybe switching off in the last 10 minutes, which again, here and there. But yeah,
yeah.
the only other shout, the only other centre back that has been in the news for the good performances is Araujo from Barca, who's been getting those shouts and fairly, I suppose. He's been on really really good form, and Militao, yeah, man, there's not too much, not a foot put wrong. Let's just put it that way today.
Yeah.
Really, really, really encouraging stuff, especially going into the ties that we have coming up. Actually, very, very happy.
Yeah, it was important to to move this week,
Mm-hmm.
to this game and next Sunday, and
Yep.
truly be focused on the important game on Tuesday. So
Mm-hmm.
one
Yep.
check mark, everyone fit. Yeah, and then if you want to talk, we can talk about just quickly enough to with Carvajal. I mean,
Yep.
uh,
Round up the
he's
defense with
once
Carvajal.
yeah he's back also after an injury,
Mm-hmm. Is this the
but
mid-Feb Carvajal effect in full flow?
yeah, it's
See, he looked
we can
happy. He looked happy playing today, which is again a fun day out in all sense of the word. But good stuff from Carvajal coming back from the injury, just picking up his pace as always around February.
yeah.
Go on, Javier. You were saying.
I mean, I said in a few shows prior. I mean, I think the peak of Carvajal is long gone,
Hmm.
and
His peak
and
fitness
I think
might be gone. His
no,
awareness is still there. Maybe his pace has also kind of fallen off. But there's nobody else I would
but
trust in that position. You know what I mean? I saw Nacho there, and I saw Carvajal there today. I saw Nacho there in the last game. I saw Carvajal there today. The difference was remarkable.
yeah, but if you go to the market, you can name at least 10 players that can fill that role better. That's the main thing, Like if you try to look someone better than Militao, you could probably find one or two. But if
Mm-hmm.
you want to change the Carvajal, you can easily find eight. So for me, it's I like Carvajal, I like him a lot, and
Legend
I
of the
think
game, legend of the club, legend of
I
an
mean,
era.
yeah, he's a very good. Uh, um, he's a very good player, but his prime time is past. And I think we can expect him to be like in the same, like next this season will be fit enough, but
Mm-hmm.
next season and the next season will be like someone in the same level of the last two seasons of Marcelo, having a legend for the sake of just having a legend,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
retire a legend and bring someone who can inject uh, another view of the position. Like maybe Carvajal understands that better than us. Lucas Vasquez it's a it's it's a solid player as an
Mm-hmm.
attacking and mediocre at best at the defense. Odriozola is not for Real Madrid, so yeah, a fully fit Carvajal is the best option
A
in
fully
the
fit
squad,
Carvajal
but not
just
in the game.
beats everybody else in the position in the team for us. But that's kind of the point, right? I mean, we don't have a proper backup, or we have our let's face it, makeshift backups. I mean, if you want to get a proper right back, and teams will be in bidding wars for right back positions, given how how scarce or how less there are of world class right backs.
Yeah.
And given the state of the market, I'm not quite sure if we can spend everything that we want to spend on without sharpening the attack. All that being said, if we were to get a right back, it would have to be next season because that's the ideal time. Because yeah, like you said, Kawahal maybe has 2 seasons to run it back. He ran it back last time around, which was a huge surprise to everyone on the panel, myself included. Um, but we always know this that a peak Carvajal on his day, when he feels like that's it's time to switch it on. I don't think anybody else can hold a candle to him. People talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold's not the same cloth. People talk about Hakimi, close enough. I'll give you that, close, but still no Carvajal. Yeah, UCL winning Carvajal. Carvajal on UCL nights is just different gravy, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carvajal today, fancy footwork. It was the Carvajal of old, a lot of really, really good crosses, a lot of attacking play, a lot of coming up to get the ball from the attack, uh, a lot of attacking the holding players. And it was really good to see. Yeah, kind of makes me excited for the Osasuna game where he'll have more of a challenge uh, than today.
I think he's gonna. I will rest Carvajal on Sunday, if you ask me.
Hmm.
But I will start with. Why not start off with Odriozola? I
Okay.
mean, like you said, we need the big Carvajal against Liverpool, and I'm gonna make the same regard as another player. Like I'm gonna talk about later on Modric. Like if you ask me, 30 minutes of fully fit Modric is better than 90 minutes of Ceballos. But I would rather have Ceballos 90 minutes than Luka Modric 90 minutes in this moment. So that being said, if you said like you need to rest Carvajal for the big games and put whoever else for the less important games, I will agree. You know,
Is
uh,
it less important though? Is it less important, or is it important that we chase La Liga, or is it important that I mean the expectation is that we keep showing up for UCL,
yeah.
just steamroll Liverpool given the condition they're in, given the form we are in, just absolutely finish it, and for that it's a question.
As a competition, La Liga is equally important as a round of 18 to the
Then
Champions,
16,
probably round of
yeah.
16. Sorry, but I mean, I will ask you: the match against Osasuna is equally important as the match against Liverpool? No,
Definitely not.
no.
Fair.
So I will rest Carvajal 100%. I
Hmm.
mean, we're 8 points behind Barcelona. Carvajal is gonna make the difference in one game? No.
Mm.
So rest him and put him in the Champions League. If the results were closer, or even if it was the Clásico, I would say put Carvajal against Barcelona and rest him against Liverpool. But it's not the case. So for a few positions, I will say so. Like I will rest some of our starting players on Sunday,
Hmm.
not because the Osasuna game was not important or if a tough opponent, because we need them rest, and we don't have this uh, huge bench to
Mm.
to support. Like I will rest the 11 that we are going to play against Liverpool, but probably we're going to rest like four, five
Oh,
max,
four is five. Yeah, five is never
max,
happening.
max.
Five
Yeah,
is
yeah,
never happening.
because we
Maybe
don't
three.
have the backups.
Yeah, we don't
We
have
don't.
we've talked about the bench strength that Real Madrid needs to have. But we just the fact of the matter is that we just don't have it. But yeah, before we move on, a couple of quick comments. Sunaid says that the only guy who's par with Militao in Europe is Araujo. That makes sense. The only foot wrong from Militao was the Rabona cross at the end. I mean, he had to try it, man. Even if it was me, I would have tried it. It's one of those games where you can actually get away with it. Doesn't make too much of a difference in the 89th minute. It's one of those games. Yeah. Ilama says we can absolutely still win the league. Hala Madrid. To which Junaid says love the positivity. One game at a time. I mean, yeah, that pretty much agrees with the statements from the panel. Me and Javier completely agree with that. We were just talking about, uh, yeah, the games coming up. Doris is also in the chat. Doris says hi. And Ilama says on his day, Kavahar is still the best. But my guy gets too comfortable at times and the levels drop massively. He needs serious competition on that right side. Yeah, man. A right side backup is I think it has been on the cards for some time now, since the day that we uh, I don't know, since the day that we saw that his form was dipping, that his fitness was dipping. It's always been a concern, but Carvajal has been able to come back and shut up the heaters. He is hoping that he does that many more times. Sunil also says Vinicius Tobias on the way as a proper backup. As a backup, no, Vinicius Tobias.
as a
Vinicius
backup
Tobias.
to Carvajal.
Yeah, is that a reasonable shout? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's I mean, as a backup, I would say no. As a backup to Carvajal, no. I will bring a starting man, and then Vinicius Tobias
I mean, he is a
can.
right back, but
Yeah,
then
he is.
again, he's a natural right back, but unproven. He's 20 years old, which is it has always been that, right? I mean, we've been at least in recent years we've been getting the unproven players and then making them into world class. But right back, is it one of those positions where you're willing to try it out? Because what happened with Vinny is that Hazard fell off massively than anybody could even think of. But then that won't happen with Carvajal. Just say.
The natural substitution of Carvajal was Hakimi, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and we sold him because it was a very good deal for us.
Hmm.
But then the club decided that rely on Carvajal's fit and improve whenever Carvajal is not fit with Lucas Vasquez.
Mm.
But now we saw that it was a patch, not a long-term fix. So I think we're gonna definitely look for a right back this market. Probably not a like you said a global superstar, but a guy that compete with this Carvajal, this current
Mm.
Carvajal, you
Hmm.
know, and maybe like I said earlier in other shows, like if we're gonna look for the guys like Rhys James or Hakimi or Theo or someone like in that profile, if you had said like to me like, okay, we have to wait like 2 seasons for Hakimi to his contract to PSG to be over, I would not be happy, but at least we have a plan, you know. Having a plan is better than improvising with whoever's came. And Lucas Vasquez is an improvised player
Oh yeah, definitely.
in that position.
Yeah. I mean, we got lucky with Lucas Vasquez that with how versatile he is. But
Yeah.
yeah, right back needs to be patched up before we go any further. Talking about the right side, Fede Valverde is the next to come into question. We're seeing more, at least I feel like we're seeing more from the Fede Valverde before the World Cup. I mean, having obviously, he did have some personal issues. And then it's actually good news that it's sorted out with baby troubles. But yeah, healthy, happy family, and Fede Valverde looks more joyous with the football at his feet. Good performance today, not no goals, but all in all, a very facilitating performance. Good through balls, good runs, and it's the classic Fede Valverde mission that he seems to be on. He's everywhere in the pitch, on the pitch. Pretty solid from Fede Valverde. Nothing out of the blue from him, I would say. He did get substituted later on, but it's just one of those games, where you could actually afford to take Fede Valverde off. But yeah, thoughts about Fede, Javier?
It's so important for us to have a, a healthy Fede, you know. He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't injured, but he was not healthy, if you allow me the analogy. I
Yeah.
can only imagine the struggle that he has. Like he's like what 23, 24, and we expect him to be a professional with this kind of distraction in the family regard. Like you said, it's a joy to know that everything is okay, but he is still human.
Yeah.
We expect him to be like this machine that doesn't have emotions, and in the same regard, like even we discussed this Uruguayan Garra is the main thing that we spoke about in the good, but it's in the same. Like it's a very emotional person. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, uh, I cannot judge him for the past month. It's impressive for me, at least, that he even be available for the manager. I will talk to my manager and say like, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not good. And, like I don't want to be here. So for me, the joy of Fede is a joyous because we need him. This Fede is, like I said earlier, for me is now like Ceballos, Fede, and Vini,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone else. Give me those three every single game, and I can rotate everyone else.
That's actually a really, really good shout. And I think the SOFA score rating for Fede Valverde is 7.0. But then again, he was actually the first person substituted. A SOFA score ratings don't mean much just to the listeners. It's it's a cumulative score from like random users around the world. Nothing matters from SOFA score. But yeah, the general consensus is that Fede Valverde didn't pull out the Fede Valverde performances that we expect from him. But then again, he's a player finding his form again, finding his footing again after a lot of things happening behind the scenes and a disastrous World Cup campaign. But yeah, good things, hopefully, more to come from Fede Valverde. He did score his 10th goal over the last weekend. So quite nice. Good that Carlo gets to keep his license. But yeah, more goals hopefully in the horizon for Fede Valverde, hopefully in the UCL campaign, where he will be much, much more important for the team. Quickly stepping onto the center of the pitch, we had Kamavinga play CDM and CM and Cam for different portions of the game. He also dropped deep to cover for the defense whenever he was called upon. He's he looked like a successor to Luka Modric and Toni Kroos hybrid today. He also covered for his fellow Frenchman Kamavinga. I'm sorry,
So many.
Chomini quite better. Kamavinga covered for Chomini quite well today. And yeah, I mean, all I saw from him today was just good things. He did get consistently fouled upon, but then it's one of those games in the La Liga. Yeah, quickly thoughts on Kamavinga because I don't think there's not much bad to say.
I love him in this position. Like you said, he play every single midfield position, and even backing up to the defense. And I saw this week. I don't know. I saw a TikTok that is like if you combine Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, what came out was Eduardo. And for me, it's true. I mean, this guy is 20. Let's remember that when Casemiro was 20, I think he's still playing in La Fábrica prior to the move to Porto. Modric was, I
Somewhere,
think,
somewhere in the
somewhere in
world.
Croatia, I would think,
Yeah, yeah.
prior to the move to Tottenham.
Hmm.
And yeah, was Kroos was at Leverkusen. So this guy can fulfill those three guys, legend midfield guys, and he's still 20. So for me, Eduardo has a lot to improve, but his roof is. over the moon. I mean, if you have the potential as a team to put the ball in Camavinga in front of the goal,
Mhm.
don't expect him to turn around. Like give the ball like in front of him, and he make a run or make a pass. He's probably one of the best on the ball
Mhm.
in speed of mind and work. He doesn't know how to get position so good in the defense position, but like you said, today he covers for Chouameni, but whenever it is Chouameni, he doesn't need to do that. So
True.
uh,
I think there was a little bit more of a holding play from, I mean, asked of Kamavinga today, and I think he did deliver to those points. We have Sunil in the chat saying Kamavinga looked a little out of sorts tonight. A few misplaced passes. I guess today it's a matter of getting trapped upon. It was a matter of getting fouled. I think Kamavinga had a lot of, I don't know, knocks, a lot of physical combats to take care of, having played out of those positions. But yeah, that's we see the game differently. I think I was impressed
yeah,
with Kamavinga because he had to do a little bit more today than he's usually expected to. But the things that I saw from him, the creativity that I saw, always good. Ilama says maybe the pressure of scoring the amount of goals Carlo set as a target got to him a little bit. I think Fede Valverde, I mean, he's referring to Fede Valverde, of course. Nevertheless, he overcame it, and thankfully, Fede will not be the reason Carlo retires. Yeah, man. Yeah. Ilama's good point. Actually, really good point. Agreed completely on that. Yeah, getting back to Danny Ceballos on the left. Javier, was he your favorite player? Was today's performance maybe your favorite from what we've seen from Danny Ceballos today?
no, but that doesn't mean that he's not impressive today.
Hmm.
For me, the today's star is Rodrigo,
Hmm.
but Danny was great, and Danny has been great for the past. I don't know this calendar year. This 2023, he has consistently been the best player.
It's actually
And
really wholesome that Ceballos he chose to be in the team to compete against players of legendary status, and then now he's starting matches. It's really good, and I really appreciate it from him that we get that kind of performance, that we get that kind of output, that we get that kind of a commitment to showing up, to working hard, to improving upon himself, to be. Luka Modric replaced him in the 68th minute. And yeah, man, he's been showing up enough that he warrants a start ahead of Luka Modric in a match against La Liga teams, La Liga oppositions, at least. Yeah, Javier, please go on.
I can only say this, like hard work pays off. This guy, and we all saw it in the pitch. No one sacrificed more. No one asked for the ball more. No one
Mhm.
covers more distance. I will say. So Danny Ceballos understand that no talent enough is not good enough for be a Real Madrid player. Sadly, this he came to this conclusion on the last year of his contract. But the Real Madrid committee is obviously asked him to renew the contract, and and hopefully he renew the contract. For me, it will be like a massive sad to watch him go. Like you stay here and a few seasons and don't start and get injured and on loan deals on some teams, and now that you are truly the star of the midfield at Real Madrid, I mean, it's no time to leave. Like I heard some news like, okay, if Real Madrid gives you, I don't know, like 5 million, and someone came like, I don't know, like Manchester United or I think even Atletico, like they say, I will give you 8, 10, 12. Where you gonna go? And I mean, I get it. For the financial point of view, I get it. For the career wise, like you said, we and once again we came back to Modric. Modric came at 27, and the first season, sorry, for Modric was deemed to be the worst signing of the year.
Yeah.
So he exceeded at Real Madrid at 28, 29 plus.
Hmm.
So Danny could perfectly be in in Real Madrid for the next 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years with this kind of performance. He truly deserves, and I expect him to renew the contract and be here for us for so many years. And today, and like I said, the whole year for me, it's been a joy to watch Danny. Like uh, this is a guy. He has a commitment to to succeed in football.
Hmm.
I see him like that. This he obviously doesn't have the talent of Modric or Cross, but he's a very talented player. And whatever he lacks of talent, he overcomes with sacrifice. So in that regard, it's a perfect midfield.
There's also the tenacity, the kind of, I mean, he's willing to go the distance. He's willing to do the stuff that not every player is willing to. Having him and Fede Valverde on either sides is a kind of a cheat code. But
Yeah,
we take those. We take those. It's always good. Always good. But yeah, I think Danny Ceballos. The things that we've seen from him this season have been very encouraging, and the only thing is that he gets the chances to prove himself, and every time he gets the chance, he just takes the opportunity to actually deliver. He's been making good on his promises so far, but in the bigger games, it's still a question of does he have to prove himself?
but you, in that regard, I think Sonny is saying something in that regard in the chat. Like, okay, it's Tuesday,
Yeah.
It's Anfield, and it's Liverpool.
Sinead is
Are you
exactly
gonna put?
echoing the sentiment, isn't he? This is starting
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But would you give him the chance against Liverpool this Tuesday
As a
to
starter,
starting?
probably not.
Yeah,
Still scared. That's the thing. Yeah.
but I mean, we cannot. I said this in the regard of Odrosola a few shows back.
Hmm.
It's so unfair for us to give the reason to Carleto to not start
Hmm.
Danny and then say, "Oh, Danny has improved in the big games."
No, I think
Prove me.
it's a question of are we starting him in the first leg or starting him in the second leg? Do you think that that's the point where you start him, or
No,
do you think we start him if we are at a disadvantage at the?
I think he needs to start the game this Tuesday, and then in the game, if we are back, we can improve the attacking regard with Modric
Hmm.
perfectly, and that would be a better option. If like we said, like if you ask me and we need to attack, I would probably put Camavinga as a left back, and I would probably put uh, Modric ahead than Ceballos.
Hmm.
But if you ask me in a game that starts 0-0 and it's 180 minutes, I will start both of games with Danny. And
Hmm.
then if I need to improve, I will put Modric if I'm being defeated. But
Hmm.
even if I'm not, today we saw Modric, like I said, 30 minutes Modric, it's prime. It's sublime. He can do whatever he wants, and
Hmm.
that it's a very powerful option. Like 1 hour of Danny Ceballos is impressive, but 1 hour of Danny Ceballos plus 30 minutes of Modric, it's a manager fantasy. Whatever you can,
I think
or even
that's the
50.
big question that Carlos facing. Should it be 30 minutes of Luka Modric and 60 minutes of Ceballos, or should it be the other way around? Do you want to have the first 60 minutes of Luka Modric magic and then switch it out for the hard work and for the kind of follow up that Danny Ceballos brings. Elama says that Danny is still missing that he's arrived moment in a big match. Again, Lamas, the only question here is, do we give it? Do we give him? Do we hand him the opportunity straight away to for him to prove that? To which Vinay says he could have had it in the Champions League final. He could have easily made it 2-0. I mean, the only difference is that this season Danny is a bit, I think, better, and I don't think anybody would disagree with me. The Danny that we saw this season is better than the Danny we saw last season, even in a Champions League final. Big occasion,
This
but
Danny is
yeah,
better than any Danny that we ever saw.
this
And
season, tough call, tough
this
call.
this past 8 or 10 games is the best Danny that we ever saw in the Real Madrid.
Mm.
Period. But okay, so Sonny says like, oh, he can provide the 2-0. I would agree. But he came out in the 85 minute. Like this. I will back to you with the point that you make me think like, what do I want? 60 minutes of prime Moy or 60 minutes of prime Danny? And this is a very valid question. Like we saw like last year with Rodrigo's impact as a substitution, better than whenever he was starting. For Modric and Ceballos is even worse because both of them are very good as a starting and both of them are very good as a substitution. So if you ask me, I said I will put Danny first, but I get your point. Like both of them can provide so much more, and Modric has provided even more than anyone in this team. That he's a big player game. Uh, but once again, he's 37. He will facing against a very strong midfield.
In
So
Liverpool, I
for me,
mean, in Liverpool, if we match up the midfield, I mean, we are coming out considerably stronger. The Liverpool midfield is literally in the mud, and I'm putting this lightly. They're in the
yeah.
mud, and we should easily come out on top. And I think that would be the reason to hand Denis Ceballos a chance against Liverpool on Tuesday. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Moving
So
quickly forwards. I
yeah,
guess then the question is about today's, at least for us, man of the match. Rodrigo had a
yeah.
fun day out. A lot of beautiful things. Playing as a left winger today instead of Winnie. Do you think it's a confidence factor? Do you think it's a comfort factor that he's it's his natural position, isn't it? The left wing, and he seemed to enjoy playing there today. Is that what made the difference, or is it just Rodrigo switched on in form?
I mean, Sona is asking you, Jadu, to put a little pool
Oh
for
yeah,
Modric or Dani on the Champions League game.
aha, yeah. Actually, we have a poll running. Thoughts on chasing the La Liga, and 75% of the people in the chat say we can still win the league, and 25% of the people are giving up. Let's see what happens, guys. I'm still saying that we chase and that we try in La Liga. But yeah, go on,
Yeah,
Javier. I'll just put up the chat. You can give me
yeah.
your thoughts by then.
So, I mean, I don't know what is the natural position of Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo, uh, as a true attacking player, in the whole extension of the word, he can assist, he can dribble, he can uh, uh, give a header, he can assist, he can play every single position, and he understands like the attacking football in the same regard. We said it prior to the start of the show. Like I think he's the true error of Benzema. The guy that understands the attacking part of the game better than anyone. Whatever needs to be done, whatever the team needs for him, he provides. I mean, as a left wing, I will always put Vini in front because Vini is the best dribbler in the world. But if you ask me who is a better attacker, I will say again, Rodrigo is a better attacker than Vini. Even if you round it up in the world, probably Rodrigo is a better player.
Mm.
More decisive? No. More dribbler? No. More impactful? No. But as a round-up player, I think Rodrigo is better.
I think
So for
Rodrigo's
me,
finishing is just much better. Decision making much better. I think if you're weighing up the pros and cons, it's dribbling, all the flashy footwork, drawing the defenders away, all goes to Vini. Uh, the decision making, the split second passing, I would give it to Rodrigo. And
yeah,
I don't think there's too much to disagree there. He is a more of a complete winger. There is a couple of things to improve upon which every winger in the world has, just in terms of the output alone and in terms of making the mark, as some would call it, of being a superstar winger at Real Madrid. It's a big ask on such young shoulders. But yeah, man, there's a reason why fans back Rodrigo. There's a reason why fans look at him and think, okay, this guy can finish. He needs to be on the pitch for there to be some sort of impact from the wing. Um, amazing player as always. Sunaid in the chat says Rodrigo is the most versatile attacker we've had at Madrid in years, probably since Di Maria, and is relentless in his pressing as well, just like Vinny. Yeah, when you have that pace and age on your side as wingers, you kind of need to cover in a team like Real Madrid when we have our fullbacks in Danny Carvajal on the right side and Mendy on the left. It's kind of expected from them, but it's actually quite refreshing to see them drop back and provide the cover that they do. But
mm,
yeah, Rodrigo playing in his natural left wing position, or at least the position that he's trained in the most, and that's the reason I'm calling it the natural position. Um, had an amazing game, more or less. No goals, but should have happened. Yes or no?
then for me, the goal was a consequence, like circumstantial, if you ask me.
Mm.
He creates so much chances. He create the penalty. Uh, for me, was not penalty, but
kind of unlucky that he didn't get a goal to celebrate the occasion, given how well he was playing, given how much he took the defense for a ride whenever he ran at them. So much of a threat, and Elche were kind of expecting it not to be the case with the Winnie out of the game. But yeah, Rodrigo stepped up and delivered more than what was asked of him. In terms of purely numbers, it wasn't Rodrigo's game, but anybody who watched the game actually saw what Rodrigo did on the pitch. And for that reason, I'd still say man of the match for me.
yeah, for me as well. I for me definitely is man of the match, Rodrigo.
Crazy kind of performance. But I think the next player that we're going to discuss is actually the man of the match officially, with is our captain Karim the Dream Benzema with 2 goals. Both came from penalties, which both went in 2 different corners of the net. The first penalty, top right, absolute banger, sent the keeper the wrong way. The second penalty, top left, sent the keeper the right way, but too high for him to do anything about it. So yeah, Karim Benzema, 2 goals, weighing in, taking penalties like it's nothing, made us forget about the penalties that our other players had missed. I think we missed 2 penalties in a row. The last one most memorably from Luka Modric, which seems impossible. But yeah, Benzema back in the team, 2 penalties scored. Thoughts, Javier?
I think we're almost there to the to the to the Benzema of the last season.
Ballon
It's
d'Or
almost
Benzema.
there. Yeah, yeah. Today I saw him create so more chances with Rodrigo, but with anyone. Like he like I said, Camavinga plays beautiful football when he has the goal in front. But I think Benzema, whenever he's back on the goal, I think he's the best in the world. Like this in basketball, they call it like a post. Like
Mm.
he's not that tall, but he knows how to provide
Yeah.
and
With his
make
back
combinations.
against the
And
goal, absolutely. There's no player in the
yeah,
world that comes at least even close to getting Benzema. The kind of danger that that man pulls out whenever he receives the ball just in front of the goal, but he has just a millisecond to make a decision. Almost always a goal. Crazy.
he makes always like the best decision, and it made me look and made those decisions look easy, which is not, which is the insane part. That's why Benzema is so good. That whoever plays or not play football needs to understand that those kind of plays are extremely difficult. It's easier to make a pass or make a cross or even score a goal, or those make those kind of decisions, and almost every single time make the correct one is insanely. That's why we praise Benzema, and that's the only reason that he won the Ballon d'Or. Making the right decisions every single time in the attacking position is the hardest thing to do. So this Benzema is exciting once again. I think
Mhm.
he like you said, like Fede has an awful World Cup, but for Karim it was even worse.
Yeah.
Not only absent for the World Cup,
Mm.
this whole uh, he he has this discussion for us, like Real Madrid fans, like, oh, he's reserving himself for the World Cup, and then he goes to the World Cup and have problems with everyone in France, and then he came back and said, like I said, I was injured, and he started to recover his level, and now in February, when we need him the most, it seems like he's almost there. Like this is like 95% of Benzema, and 90% of Benzema is top three in the world.
Absolutely. Easily the best number nine, you know? But yeah, I think what else can be said about Benzema's performance is something that I saw mentioned in the Reddit thread for the live match. A couple of comments just said that the kind of open play goals that Benzema can bang in, he should have scored at least two or three more today, which is a statement that I completely agree with. There were some really good chances. A couple of passes from Ceballos, a couple of one-touch passing with Rodrigo that should have, could have, would have gone in on a different day. Just missing the post by inches in one of the shots. It have gone better, yeah, but did it go as well as planned? Also, yes.
Yeah.
Not too much to complain, especially for a player who's come back from injury and is looking to get back into form as always. Uh, and now, quickly about the 11th player, who coincidentally is number 11 and also coincidentally is Javier's historically favorite player and best friend, Marco Asensio. Weighed in with a goal today. Absolute banger as always. That's the thing with an Asensio goal, man. When Asensio scores, you know it's a banger. It's crazy. Yeah, I for me it was really good. He had a good presence um, on the right wing. There wasn't too much that was expected of him to fulfill, and he weighed in with a goal, which was really amazing. Good stuff from him. Good showing. Did get substituted later on, which I thought was completely justified. Um, I don't think I had anything more to add because it's been the trend of Marco Asensio performances, at least in the season, that he does something really positive and then some of them just goes here and there, and it is what it is. Yeah. And Doris says, Asensio goated performance. Okay, Doris, we will come back to you on that. But before that, go on, Javier.
I mean, I think Doris is teasing me. Like no, I said it. This Asensio deserves his place in this team. No, with this kind of performance, like I said of Danny or Nacho, the players that are somehow doubtful of renewing their contract.
Mhm.
I mean, Asensio is good enough to be a starting in this Real Madrid? No. Asensio is good enough to be a rotational player, start a few games, play a lot of games, a lot of minutes, score a lot of goals. Being an important player, absolutely. So, uh, do you want to be the start of any team? Asensio needs to know that he's not going to be a start in a top tier team. No way. Top
Hmm.
15 of the world? No. So, if you want to be the main man, you need to be in, like in a Mallorca side or La Valencia side. But what do you want? To compete for no titles or be an important player in a team that you already won like 10, 15 huge
More.
titles.
Yeah.
So I think that's the question that needs to be asked with Asensio. Danny has the potential to be the star man in a very good team. I think Asensio is not. That
Hmm.
means that he's a bad player? No. That means that we don't need him? No, we need him. I would say like this current Asensio is for me like number 14 or 15. It's probably seems harsh, but I don't think that we ever have a very more solid midfield
Hmm.
in the past or recent memory. Like whoever you say to me deserves to be an starting line. Cross, Modric, Chouameni, Eduardo, Fede, Dani. You have six players for three positions, and the other three are a perfect. Like they will
Perfect
be starting in every
substitutes.
single team in the world.
This
So
also, it's I think it's a question of just tactics at that point, because you have six players who are immensely creative, who excel at different kind of games. So it's a tactician setup. But the one thing that you can be assured is that you need goals, and that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody, not even to Asensio. And I think the question there is just about the output that you expect from Asensio. It shouldn't be the once in a blue moon bangers. It has to be finishing whatever is given to him, which makes it a little bit frustrating, at least on the nerves.
but
Yeah.
he now sacrificed even more, like past years, like you said, like, respect the banger and nothing else,
Hmm.
because he didn't sacrifice or provide for the team rather than impressive goals. Now he provides for the team and occasionally scores a banger. So that's a huge difference in the way that he plays. Not even in the result. He scores the same amount of goals or provides the same amount of assists, but you need a player that provides for you for the team.
I think the pressure that's been brought on Asensio is also because of the statements that he made at the beginning of the season, that he might look for alternatives, that which sadly includes Barcelona. And that's shined a flashlight on his performances, and the fans are asking questions, and Asensio just needs to step up and deliver. Um, yeah, man. But about today's game, Asensio didn't have much of a challenge, let's say, in what he attempted. He got given a lot of free space to roam, to shoot about in. So yeah, all in all, a balanced performance from Asensio, nothing less than what we expect from Asensio. Pretty good, pretty good. 7.5 for me. Uh, just putting it into numbers. So about the poll that we had running, who would you start versus Liverpool? Luka Modric got 60% of the vote, and Dani Ceballos gets 40% of the votes, which kind of reflects on the state of the fans, I guess, because it has always been a question of will Luka Modric ever be displaced by any player, and most of the fans say no. Some of the fans are like give the new players a chance. Dani Ceballos being a primary example. Ilama says Asensio can be frustrating, man. He pretty much has the whole package, but needs to understand that leaving Real Madrid because of money will only take his career one way, and that's all the way down. Pretty well put together. That's an accurate summary, Lamas. And with that,
And he can ask Isco. They were very close friends.
what happened after the Real Madrid
What
chapter?
you know, what happened to Isco in 6 months?
It's actually crazy. I think there's a conspiracy about what happened to Isco, but let's not get into that because it's kind of heartbreaking. He used to be one of my favorite players, man. Absolute goat. 2017, 2018. Ah, then again, let's quickly go through the substitutes before we get into the rest of the episode, Javier. 68 minutes, we had three substitutions. Danny Carvajal got substituted for Odriozola. Do you think that's a long-term right back patch-up? I think we already went over it just recently. Do you think
Uh,
Odriozola can be a patch?
no, Odriozola is enjoying the last minutes in the Real Madrid shirt. It's it's one of those, like one of those players that, for whatever reason, they don't they don't click. They don't never click or never fit.
Hmm.
And for me, it's a clear sale in the summer. So for this game was perfect because we need to rest
Low
Danny, but
stakes, yeah,
nothing more.
low stakes game, right? There's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
too much on the line.
Zero
Condition,
stakes. Like we substitute Danny with 3-0.
yeah,
So
more or
and
less,
not attacking in the horizon.
yeah. That's true. I mean, no questions asked there. Fede Valverde got substituted at the 68th minute as well. Chaumini came in and dropped one of his usual Chaumini performances. Much more physical than Fede Valverde, which needed to be. One of the things that we kind of glossed over was how physical the match was. We saw a lot of yellow cards being handed out, and I think it was three yellow cards handed out, four if you include Mariano, but we'll get to that in a minute. Three yellow cards and two penalties given away. So, as you can imagine, fighting against a team that's 20th in the La Liga will always be physical, and it was nothing short of expectations. That's what we saw, and it pretty much lived up. The reason I mentioned that is because when Chaumini came in, they tried to outbox him. Chaumini did. They kind of pushed him in the penalty box, which then was just. It wasn't too much of a penalty shout as much as it was just outboxing Chaumini, and then Chaumini came back and pretty much gave the defense a hard time with all the yeah pushing, pulling, physical stuff that he did. So yeah, from the 26 minutes that we saw of Germany, impressions, Javier.
It's good to have him back.
Hmm.
The substitution once again was perfect. Uh, you provide rest to Fede and minutes of game time to Chouameni. So the substitution was perfect. Was the game needed?
Mhm.
Um, for me, the first part of the season for Chouameni was probably better fit than anyone expect. And then he came a little of a bump, and then he gets injured, and now he's
Yeah,
starting to look the the first part of the season's family. I think he's gonna start on Sunday, and
I think so
and I think
because
start
today's
on Tuesday.
game. today's game didn't require a proper CDM, if you know what I mean.
No, no.
But
Yeah,
on Sunday, we might see more of Chaumini exercising the CDM role against
I
Osasuna, where
think
he might be more challenged. Yeah.
I don't think that we were gonna see Chouameni because the game requires a CDM. I
Hmm.
think we're gonna see Chouameni because Chouameni requires game time. You know, I think he's gonna rest Eduardo probably on
Okay.
Sunday.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
the reason that we need Chouameni in game time,
Mm.
not as a punishment for Eduardo or something like that, because we need
We need a
Tchouaméni
sharper
to,
Chaumini against the game against
uh,
in the game against Liverpool, which absolutely makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, it's one of those games that require a proper CDM performance from Chaumini. Also, in the 68th minute, Ceballos was taken out for Luka Modric, who came on, scored a beautiful goal. Very Luka Modric kind of goal. Top right corner, absolutely banged it in to make it 4-0. And the minutes that Luka Modric got was absolutely magical, as we keep saying in this podcast. Huge respect whenever Luka Modric touches the ball. Thoughts, Javier, if there are more words that you can give Luka Modric his flowers with.
I would like to watch the heat map for Modric because I think he plays like I don't know 90% of his minutes in
In
the
the box.
just right outside in the box, just outside of the box. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
he he plays so good in that position because whenever he moves, the team knows how to play, and he tends to pass, and even when he's not touching the ball, he provides an assist. You know, like he's so understanding of the game that is impressive. And like you said, for me, if if we can provide the the freedom of movement to Modric,
Mhm.
the only reason that I will not start him is because I don't trust him in the physical aspect that much. But I
Mm.
cannot ask him to do that in this era of his career, or because we have, like you said, like we have Chouameni, you know, we have Danny that can provide that for him. He has done it so many times, and I think for me, if I have to put, I can even play with Modric and Dani Ceballos
Hmm.
at the same time.
It's interesting because this 37-year-old version of Luka Modric has been actually asked to deliver 94 minutes of game time, has been asked to deliver a lot more in just La Liga, and that has been happening consistently this season. Um, Apart from the recent a month or so,
Yeah.
even before that, we were seeing long stretches where Luka Modric had to play, which is quite weird. But yeah, when I mean, I agree that a 22 minute of fresh Modric coming in against tired legs makes the game really easy. If that is the case against better opposition, will have to be seen later in the season, I guess. Other
Yeah.
substitutions, other notable substitutions happened. 78-minute Benzema got taken out for in the favor of Mariano Diaz, who's still sporting the greatest haircut known to mankind. Um, I can't even say that without laughing. Mariano came in and for arguing, I think oh no, he pulled a foul in the 83rd minute, so that's like 5 minutes after he came in, and he got a yellow card. I mean, okay, just nothing to note, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Thoughts on Mariano, our
I was
previous
watching the
number seven.
I was watching the game. Yeah, let's not forget that that our previous this current and our previous number seven, they will be awful to say the
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
I was watching the game with my wife, and she said like to me like, "Who is that guy?" and I said to her like, I'm not gonna even.
I'm not going to go
This guy
there.
is
It's
yeah, yeah,
don't worry about
this
it.
guy
Don't worry about it.
yeah, yeah, you don't need to remember his name. You know, like this guy is yeah,
Yeah,
is
he's it
basically
is what it is.
one of the worst attackers or players in that regard that in the history. If you ask me like how many seasons does Mariano deserve to be in Real Madrid? I would say like I don't know, one, half, 2 games. But in the whenever he era comes out, he's gonna end up with more games probably than someone like Sumet said, like someone in Di Maria, Inosil level. And for me,
Mm.
it's
It's a tough call because Mariano came in at a time where we desperately needed options. Has Mariano been the answer? I mean, it's obviously no, but football's a funny game, man. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The things that Mariano did, I mean, I can't blame him, but the things that we have seen, the output that we have seen from him has been, well, it's not up to the standards of a Real Madrid attacker. But then again, you have some of those players who can, yeah, it has to happen that
I
way.
think I said like Asensio will be an starting man in I don't know 16 out of 20 teams in La Liga. Mariano, I'll say, will be the starting probably two or three.
Oh, that's tough.
Maybe.
No, maybe like 10.
I don't think so. I truly don't think so. I mean, I'm a starting man. Like, no, I don't see that potential
It's
anymore.
just
But
no.
he's 1 foot in the exit. You know, like I think the one player that is gonna move as soon as June 1st is
Mm.
Mariano, the first. I think, and he knows, I think he knows that he's only playing these shitty minutes because we cannot rely on Hazard anymore, and we don't have another number 9.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair
And
point.
like, and then like Sonnet said time and time again, like I would rather give Arribas any a huge amount of time rather than give any minute to Mariano anymore.
That's actually a fair point because the next player that we are talking about is actually Arribas, who came in to replace Asensio in the 81st minute. Just quick questions. I mean, we've been seeing more of Arribas recently, which is quite nice. Always, the only question is, what did he have to put ahead to Carlo today? There was one chance that he missed, but a couple of good positionings. He takes the corners, which was a quite a surprise to me in a team that has Luka Modric on the pitch. To have this kid literally take the corners was kind of nice to see.
I mean, 89 minute in a 4-0 match, It was a 0-0 match. Luka Modric will go to the corner. But that being said, for me, Arribas will probably be in the same regard as Asensio next season.
Mm.
You're not going to be the starting man, but for sure you can be a rotational player.
You can be an
I think
option.
Arribas, yeah, yeah. For me, Arribas has proved that if we're gonna sell Brahim Diaz, that it seems to be the case, and
Yeah,
we're not gonna buy out Kubo, Arribas for a substitution in the prime of, I think we can rule out Hazard once again. So
everybody has.
Arribas, Arribas plus Asensio to substitute or provide with Vini and Rodrigo. I think it's a very solid wingers setup. Or
There's
Fede, even Fede. Yeah. I don't think Fede is a winger, but
a
he
couple
plays that
of
position.
a couple of points to consider because Real Madrid committee, as you know, are our partners on Instagram. They had a post today Brahim Diaz wants to return to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid seem interested in keeping Brahim Diaz in the squad for the next year. So the player will be offered a renewal until 2027 as a sign that the club's commitment is serious. But the only problem is that Milan actually want to sign him permanently, which I think will more likely be the case. So it's interesting. Does he come back and fight for the spot against our starters, or does Arribas get more chances to show his skills off?
For me, it's a sell Brahim.
Mm.
Sorry,
Yeah.
and because they don't say it, but you and I know that the real truth. They expect to Mbappe to come eventually. So
Yeah, it's a
so
big ask.
there's
It's a
no
big
point.
ask. Yeah.
But you know that it's true. Like they're waiting to Mbappe. We all are. We don't say it that much out loud, but it's the truth. We're gonna wait for him. So the partnership between Bini, Mbappe, and Rodrigo
Stuff
will be
of
enough
dreams,
to.
but it's a it's a long way off. Let's see if it happens. Let's see if the
But
football
but that gamble
gods.
seems. But yeah, to that gamble, it's easier to like expect. But the if that not come true, having Brahim doesn't change that much. If you didn't have Bini or Rodrigo, I will say yeah, bring back Brahim, renew Kubo or so. But you have Bini and Rodrigo, so even if Mbappe didn't came, we'll cover
That's
and very good cover. It's not a cover.
Yeah.
Those
It's
two
that's what I
guys,
was going to say. You can't call it a cover because it's much
yeah,
much
yeah,
more than that. It's so much
yeah, yeah.
bigger than that.
That they're starting attacking. They're attacking wingers at Brazil national team. So yeah, it's not a cover. A cover
And
will
for the
be
biggest team in the
Brahim.
world, let's not forget.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Fair points. Also, a quick take about the Kubo situation. There hasn't been any confirmed reports. Real Madrid have not contacted Kubo since he left, despite many clubs interested. Real Madrid have first refusal rights and own 50% of his rights. So we're not sure as to if we'll ask Kubo back, which seems to be the general consensus. We're not sure if he can fit into the system anymore from the performances that we've seen from him. But yeah, Javier, that's all the players. I was a little disappointed that Vallejo didn't get his minutes, but I'm absolutely chuffed. I'm glad that Arribas actually got some minutes to show off. Injury situation update: Full and Mendy, as we said, out for a month expected. Eden Hazard out for we don't know. Vinny Jr. was suspended today. Thibaut Courtois was it was said that he's doubtful for the match, but we kind of knew that he would be rested today. If we'll see him back in the next match, also doubtful as of now. Maybe we will. But Andre Lunin has been covering much better than even he himself expected to. So quite well. We might see Thibaut being rested and him coming back in our bigger match against Liverpool. Other than that, we have the game against Osasuna to look forward to on Sunday, and we'll definitely be doing a pre-match discussion. Get the tactics right, get everything right against Osasuna. Anything else to add before we sign off, Javier?
yeah. Like you said, expect the preview for the game probably on Friday or
Mhm.
Saturday at latest. I hope that we can go through that game as quick as possible. Like is early goal and nothing much because, like we said, we are very close to the a very decisive game against Liverpool. So for me, I can only expect or hope and everyone is out of the injury. It seems to be the case. We are recovering all our players. So
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
excited to watch that and expect to Barca to lose points at some point. They need to start losing points. So we make another remontada.
We
So
need to be there's some catch up to be done. There's some it's out of our hands at this point. But yeah, if Barca drop points, they know what's going to happen, and it's something that
or even
they
if they get relegated, they saying that that could happen.
if the people listening, watching don't know what Javier is referring to, there are reports that came out that say that Barca allegedly has paid 1.5 million to the vice president of the referees in La Liga, if I'm not mistaken. But then Barca saying that they'll sue people who report the news. So I'm not reporting the news. I'm just I'm talking to my friend. So Barca allegedly did that. I can't believe it. Oh my god, would Barca do
They
that?
they don't allegedly. They admitted they did, but they're saying like we paid them to provide assistance to our youth players in the regard to how to refer to referees,
How to talk to referees.
how to talk to referees.
I see. Okay, so they
And
gave
1.5 million to
1.5 million to teach them how to talk to referees. I mean, at that point, it's funny.
that, but it doesn't seem that weird for Barca, like the Palancas side paid 1.5 million to a referee committee to address the referees.
Here's
It's
the
not that
thing.
crazy.
Here's the thing. Apparently, it started before 2003, but there's no paperwork for any of it. So everything's off the books. You paid 1.5 million, which is not a small amount, which leaves no paper trail. Um, Tough, man. Tough. Maybe it's a 15-point deduction, like what happened to Juventus, but probably not. Because
Yeah,
there has to be a reasonable explanation for where the 1.5 million went. It can't
that's not gonna happen.
they can't just point to the game against Chelsea in in the UCL and say, "Haha, that's worth 1.5 million." That's not it. There has to be something else going on, which we'll stay tuned to, and hopefully we can report it in the next episode. Whoever's there in the preview will give you a bit more about the rundown, about the situation in Barca, about the situation with the refs, etc., etc. But yeah, I think that's all from my side for today, Javier. If there's nothing else, then we can shout out our partners, the Real Madrid Committee on Instagram. Check them out. Links, as always, will be in the description. They have been 500 plus views, 500 plus, and we had, I don't know, like 40 people at one point. So if you guys are new, as usual, leave a like, subscribe, let us know what you think in the comments. Reach out to us on Instagram. If there are some points that you think that we should discuss, if there are articles that we should look at, if there's some interesting points that you find throughout the week, just let us know. Reach out to us on Instagram. And yeah, that's it. See you next time, guys. Hala Madrid.